I actually hit the right button. What do you know? Bases drop for another round of soccer down here. John here, Jared there. And it is a reaction Monday on the last weekend of organized league play before we head into the worldwide competition that is happening later this week to start. And, anything's on the table, as always, on a Reaction Monday. Bart Keeler is joining us at the bottom of the hour to talk about the women's national team, the back-to-back with the German national team and the 2-1 win last night. So we'll get into that. Bart will also join us later in the week on the Power Hour on Thursday, so we can get Bart's perspective on the men's national team heading into Qatar and all of the other discussions. But opening kickoff, once again, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's the QR code in between me and Jarrett. And once again, remember, use that QR code with everything involving Kickoff Coffee. For those of you watching on Twitch, don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off of your purchase when it comes to everything Kickoff Coffee. They, in turn, take 10% and roll it over into youth initiatives in the youth game. Something very, very cool from our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com, Kickoff Coffee CO on Twitter, on Facebook, and on the gram, I believe, as the kids say these days. But Jarrett, last night, I'm kind of wearing my USL League One final matchup sweatshirt, A, because I'm cold, and B, because the USL Championship had their championship game last night, and it was the top teams in the East and the West. So it was the way that a lot of folks had it figured out, was the way it was going to be. Lou City in San Antonio against San Antonio FC, and San Antonio got the title 3-1. They were really making life difficult for Lou City in the first half. Had the one goal to show for it. Missed an early penalty. Mitchell Tainer absolutely pull-hooked it in the third minute as Fondez brings down a player, and Mitchell Tainer just pull-hooks the penalty, and it was goalless for a while. Then they get one late in the first half, and then they get another two. And if you haven't seen, here's your requested/required viewing on social media. If you haven't seen the highlight package, there was one goal, and I want to say it was the third one for San Antonio, that was just gorgeous in transition. So that's your viewing for the day. But San Antonio gets the title, so Texas gets another title when it comes to the sport of soccer. But Jarrett, what I wanted to talk about this morning was in the USL Championship, just the level of play in general, and the coaches that we've been able to see in USL Championship that really should be on folks' radars for making that next step, getting into higher divisions and things like that. And I know that we've all been high on the head coach at Lou City, Danny Cruz, and going from an interim, pull the interim tag off. He's the full-time coach, and Lou City has not missed a beat with a guy like Danny Cruz in charge.
No, they have not. They've had to make changes in managers at different points over the last few years. But, I mean, look, Lou City, aside from all that, it's the fact that Lou City has been just consistently there since their inception. They keep making Eastern Conference finals every year. They keep, being in that conversation for one of the best teams in the league. They have a fun stadium. They have a fun atmosphere. They have a young, exciting coach. Like, everything is coming up Millhouse for Lou City, and it's awesome to see. But yeah, Danny Cruz, if you're looking for that next coach to be part of that conversation of, hey, somebody's going to make a hire and they might pull someone out the lower levels, it might be Danny Cruz is who you're looking at to be that next guy.
And with San Antonio and Lou City specifically, you had two teams that have gone about their build in different ways. San Antonio was like the island of misfit toys. And it's like, Adeniran, previous team doesn't want him. Yeah, we'll take him. Jordy Delem, Seattle doesn't want him. Yeah, we'll take him. And just piecing all of these guys together that are veterans. And it's like, we'll figure it out later as to how they all kind of work together. And the style that they've put together in San Antonio is incredibly successful. You had a guy like Jordan Farr who was set to retire and actually go into the real world and have a family and those kinds of things. And he comes in, he wasn't the initial starter in net. he has a hell of a season. He's your keeper of the year, and he kept San Antonio with I think it was one of the least amount of goals allowed in the league this season in USL Championship. Not a surprise.
Yeah, their defense, like when you're trying to figure out offense, if you can figure out like, hey, we'll just defend really well, and then we'll figure out the offense as we go along. Like it's not. I mean, it'll work like that. That dog will in fact hunt. It's what they did. Is they weren't giving up goals. They started getting key contributions from offensive players. Like that's not a bad way to live your life while you're trying to figure yourself out.
No, and with Lou City, considering what we've been able to see in the Eastern Conference, they've gone about it working both ends and coming to the middle, where you've had your veterans, yet you've developed your academy at the same time, and you have the Winder brothers who have been a part of the build, and we've seen how they've been integral to the success of Lou City. And then you have the veterans like a Brian Ownby, like a healthy Cameron Lancaster, like a Paolo Del Piccolo, and how all of those pieces once again fit, where you have the guidance of the older players helping out the younger academy players with their build, and it meshes together incredibly well. And you have, and like I said, there's more than one way to do a successful build, and we saw that last night with Lou City and with San Antonio, and we've seen the levels of success. But Lou City once again coming up short in the end, losing to San Antonio. But once again, however you build is up to you, and as long as you stick to it, then you've seen the results. And we saw that with we've seen that with Lou City going up against Atlanta United too, and we saw that last night with San Antonio and what they were able to do out west.
Yeah, it's a really impressive, really impressive title. I mean, for San Antonio, like I said, the most important number is that number on the other side. A lot of times of not giving up the goals, and they didn't. And look where it got them. And John, as we talked about before, as we're about to come on the air, it's the last competitive game for a while because we have a World Cup.
I've heard of that. Yes.
Yeah, in a weird time of year where Soccer for Good OGs talked about
Yes.
not the first person I've seen have that opinion on it too, but let's just hash it out because some people just aren't excited about it.
Yeah, and this has been something that I've had to talk about on multiple shows. And obviously there's the calendar, there's the weather, there's the politics, there's all of the external factors that are associated with this. And as the week goes on, as we get closer to games actually kicking off, we'll get into the news like second hour and those kinds of things. But no, OG, you're not alone. You're not alone in the notion of, oh crap, we've got our national team playing at the end of the week. Oh crap, we've got stuff going on Black Friday. The game, a capital T, capital G, with the U.S. and England going at it. I can't do Jason's version; I don't have his pipes. But you have all of this stuff that's coming up, and literally, it's like we're watching the Premier League, we're watching our favorite teams, we're watching the USL Championship, we're watching all of these competitions, and then it's like, oh bleep, yeah, we've got an international competition coming up. It's just, no, you're not alone. You're not alone, OG, in this at all. And it's disappointing. Yeah, we got into it with Nico Moreno as a part of the discussion. So you can go back to listen to Thursdays with Nico on a Friday and how Nico was a part of this. But yeah, it's like it's over there, and there's no time for any kind of real buildup. There's no kind of time for any real celebration. And it's like, okay, oh, who's going? And show us your pictures and show us what it's like to travel and what it's like to go over there. And a lot of folks are thinking that this might be the Fire Fest for football, but the way that things are. But no, Jill, you're not alone in this. It's like, oh yeah, there's
Fire Fest didn't have as many human rights violations.
That is true. That is absolutely true. But yeah, I mean, it's a very, very odd vibe throughout all of this. And I'm hoping against hope that this is the only time that we have this kind of a calendar flip when it comes to this competition, to where it's going to be, placed in the holiday window where we're being distracted from having to purchase our holiday gifts by watching the World game. It's a very, very odd feel right now.
It is. And I feel like it is for a number of reasons. Human rights being one of the big one for a lot of people. Because of what's going on in Qatar and what's going on in the lead up to this, what's going on with their track record of it. And then aside from that, you also get the fact that it's a World Cup in November, December. It's very weird. Resident useless blob of atoms, Sepp Blatter just mouthing off the other day, just having the gall.
That's grapefruit.
Well, we didn't. We decided maybe it wasn't the right idea to do that. Well, yeah, everyone knew that at the time, man.
He just didn't get what he wanted, I think.
I mean, for him at that point, for me, it's an issue of, man, maybe I don't know, maybe now you think, okay, I can say this because I'm done with it. My hands are washed from it. I've made enough money for 8 lifetimes, and I can just try and rehab my image of all that crap.
But I didn't make enough for my 9th, and that's why I'm saying what I'm saying.
Oh, I don't think he really gives a crap about that. I think he just, at this point, once he's out of it, he's not dealing with any of it, and he is just going to be able to go out there and try and rehab his image for anyone who's willing to listen. And I could really give a damn about Sepp Blatter or the rest of them or anything they have to say. It's a dude has basically been a waste of atoms in the existence of the universe for the last few years. And say the obvious thing. Cool, because we shouldn't have given the World Cup to Qatar. Yeah, no kidding.
No ish.
Remember that time y'all decided, let's do it in the summer. How should we handle the weather? We'll build a giant cloud. We'll put a cloud over this, we'll put a synthetic cloud over the stadium. Yeah, man, it's still 110 in the shade.
Yeah.
What do we do? We play it in winter, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, that's going to throw everything off for everybody. We'll make it work.
But you'll have qualifiers in June. You'll be more than happy to have the qualifiers in June in those conditions, but not the actual tournament. I get it. I see you working.
But doing a World Cup in November, I think domestically some of the issue is also the fact that you have such a I don't know how to describe it, but such a negative
No, it's a negative vibe, no question.
So it's a negative vibe with the national team. It's just an eternally negative vibe with the national team. It's a super young team.
Mm-hmm.
They might not do much. They really might not. They might also finish first or second in their group.
Mm-hmm.
God only knows. Because as much as we doom and gloom the U.S. national team, I would imagine, and this is a question I would have for Jess, is what's the vibe with the England national team? Because they have not been lighting it up either.
Yeah,
the English national team's just been sputtering along like an old gremlin. You're welcome. Yeah, John knows. Yeah, John knows that. I can drop gremlin references.
You can drop an American Motors company reference on me anytime, and I know exactly what you're doing.
But sputtering along like an old gremlin, got relegated Nations League, hasn't really done anything else. Wales is Gareth Bale, and God only knows how else you string that together if you're Wales.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Look, I mean, all of the socioeconomic and human rights issues aside, it will be very interesting to watch a World Cup, especially considering the time of day. I'm very glad it's at the end of the calendar year for me personally, because I'm about to finish up all my work projects, because guess what? Y'all are not going to get nearly as much productivity out of me when there is World Cup on TV. But man, this I'll be interested to see how the U.S. looks, because Wales, you're looking to see what Gareth Bale can give you. You see, can they hold the fort down long enough for Magic Man to do his thing? How does that England has the most firepower? They have the the most weapons in this group. But can they put it together?
Yeah.
Because I feel like they really haven't been doing that part of the job. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I am very interested in how it plays out. I'm very interested to see how the English and the Welsh also feel about their teams going into this,
Yeah.
because they haven't been lighting it up either. At
No.
least the US is super young, and it feels like, hey man, like whatever happens, first of all, we can talk about this with Bart. I hope it's somebody other than Greg managing the next cycle, because even if they do well, I don't like a manager for more than one of my World Cup cycles.
No.
Vlatko, looking at you as well, buddy. Um, but you got all this young talent that could be really fun. And the 2026 World Cup feels like it should be your big one you're aiming at really wrecking house potentially in your own backyard. I want to see what you can do in this one, because it's not necessarily playing with house money,
No.
but and I don't know how you feel, John, and I don't know how everybody else feels. Like, I'm just kind of like excited to see, how they handle those moments, because it's a World Cup. I feel like anyone who gets in those moments, like, I feel like a World Cup, and without having been able to interview anyone recently who's played in one, there's got to be that emotion that comes with it of, hey, it's the World Cup. Okay, cool. So what are we doing? Okay, the emotion here is going to be bigger, and the nerves are going to be bigger than anything you've probably dealt with. Should
Yeah.
be fun.
Yeah. All right. So here's your juice box odds to win the whole thing. And I'll go top 5. And if there's anybody else that you want to know outside of your top 5, then let me know. At number 5 is Spain at plus 850. Number 4 is England at plus 800. 3 is France at plus 600. I've heard that Mbappe dude is pretty decent at the game.
Oh, man. Nick and I have our opinions on France that we have shared with everybody many times before. France is either going to win this World Cup, or they're going to, like, I feel like they're either going to be in the final and winning the thing, or they are going to explode.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's going to be an amazing bit of television for everyone involved.
Yeah, it will either be a football.
It's all or nothing.
Yeah, it will be either football flambe, or they're going to win the whole thing. Argentina's at a plus 550, and that's where I'm going. I want the Cinderella story. I want Messi to win in his last World Cup, and then Brazil's at plus 400. The U.S., for the record, is a plus 15,000 to win the World Cup. Let's see. Who else would you want to know about that is not in the top 5 and is not named United States of America?
I mean, I feel like we've got Ecuador discussions we've had about
plus 15,000.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole Ecuadorian saga. Also, it rings true for me personally, because some of my best friends are Ecuadorian. So, kind of watching for and with them excitedly. Excited to see how that looks. Let's see, Jason said, Mr. Fantastic. The English fans have been arrogant on social media. As Jason points out, you could have just said English fans arrogant.
Welcome to Monday.
Yeah, it's just what they are. It's just how they've always been.
That is
and
true.
Look, I mean, this is the wild thing, the conversation we can have about the English, because the English have been not good recently in recent games. However, the English also made it to a semifinal in the last World Cup and lost in a shootout in the last Euro. So maybe they should be good.
Sometimes it may be good.
Sometimes maybe.
Yeah, and also part of this was the note that, and we'll get into this with Bart, but yeah, Vlatko Andonovski is going to Qatar to help out the men's national team after the women's match last night. He made that.
A lot of people are going to have opinions on that.
Yeah, it's like, don't you dare. Don't you touch
Could you just stay away?
Yes.
Other European teams could sneak in: Denmark, Croatia, Serbia. that from Soccer for Good OG. I'd
Yeah.
be interested in seeing what those teams do. Denmark, especially.
Denmark at a plus 2,800. They are 3, 6,
Ooh,
10th.
that's not a bad number to hit if you like spending your juice boxes.
2,800. They're 10th in the grid. Croatia is 11th in the grid with Uruguay at a plus 5,000. And Serbia is 13th at plus 8,000. So they're all right there, just outside the top 10 with Denmark, Croatia, Serbia. They're right there. So,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what is the U.S.?
The U.S. is plus 15,000. They are not the worst. They're like middle of the pack, and they're right there with Mexico and Poland and
Yeah.
Ecuador.
Or would you say Uruguay? Like, would you say Ecuador was like 45,000, something like that?
No, plus 15. They're plus 15,000.
Plus 15?
They're right there. They're right there with Poland, the U.S., and Mexico at plus 15,000. So if you're a Mattress Mac and you want to, the U.S. Knicks is at a plus 15,000. But yeah, if you've got Mattress Mac money and you want to do something on some kind of a prop bet where you could end up with $10 million in a wheelbarrow as you're heading to a plane, you've got that too. Saudi Arabia, Costa Rica, by the way, are plus 75,000. And since you heard the magic noise, that means one thing. It means Bart Keeler is now hanging out with us. And Bart, since it is golden ticket status, and that's why I've started just pounding the emails with Bart. And it's just like, okay, when are you coming on this week? Instead of asking, it's like, okay, when are you coming on this week? And so Bart is joining us twice that I know of, unless he exercises golden ticket status and just wants to crash in general. 9:30 today, or 9:26 today, and then 9:30 in the Power Hour on Thursday, and we'll get Bart's preview of the men's national team. But so it's a three-way dance for as long as Jarrett wants to hang out with us. So Jarrett, what did you want to ask Bart?
Bart, how do you feel about Vlatko Adamowski going to help the men's national team?
So when I first read that, I was like, okay, that's interesting. I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea, right? I don't think it's a bad idea to have like your other head coach in the program go out. He's probably going to be a scout. Like that's essentially what I'm imagining he'll probably be doing, is helping break down game film or scouting potential opponents. My only thought would be, would you ask those of the U.S. men's national team coach to go down to New Zealand next summer to do the same? I hope that they would. I mean, I genuinely think that that's a good thing for the program to do. It's kind of cool. It gets both coaches more invested in the system as a whole, and hopefully does produce the slightly more identifiable American style of play that supposedly we want, that I think Ernie Stewart wants to implement. But you know, I'll hold my breath if Greg is going down to Australia and New Zealand next summer. We'll see.
Just make sure that his hands are tied and he can't. Everything's behind his back, and he's like, he's not allowed to do anything like that. Soccer for Good OG had the question this morning, I think, that has been on a lot of folks' minds. Oh, who's the mug this morning, by the way?
Well, I chose it because West Virginia University, read college media.
Yes.
WVU had a really good sporting weekend, and then I woke up this morning. Actually, no, not even woke up. I had made my coffee this morning, and got a notification from ESPN that we have fired our athletic director. So Shane Lyons, native of Parkersburg, West Virginia, a person whom I interviewed for a piece while I was working at the university. He was an alumnus of one of the colleges I worked for. He is no longer going to be employed by the university.
Wow. So Neil Brown gets the big win over Oklahoma, gets you to 5-6. 5-6? 4 and 6. With 4 and 6 with 2 to go. That's the first step, I think, in Neil Brown being removed from the head coach of your football FOOTBALL program, but that's just me. How jacked up, jazzed, emotionally excited are you for this World Cup in general because of its place in the calendar? Because Soccer for Good OG, she's having a hard time getting psyched up for it.
Yeah, I don't think she's the only person who's kind of feeling that like funk going into it. It's hard. We just had Premier League games. We just had Bundesliga games. I mean, we just had a USL Championship game this weekend. You know, so it's not like we've been breaking for a month with the anticipation to build and like all the previews start coming out. It's weird. Like I listen to Total Soccer Show a lot. Great guys and great coverage. And they're doing weekly recaps of the club season while simultaneously putting out group A and B and C, like all these group previews. And it's just like, this is not how it's supposed to be. So I think the lack of enthusiasm is mainly due to the fact that we have club soccer going on right now, and we usually don't do that. Even MLS has a pretty like notable break before the World Cup. So I think that's the biggest reason. Now that things have paused, I think we'll be getting a little bit more excited for the World Cup. And we're 1 week away from watching USA Wales. So, you know, it's time to start getting excited.
Get excited.
Yeah, get excited, dang it. I think that's definitely one of the reasons. I think, I don't know, Jarrett, maybe you can attest to this as well. It's hard to get excited about players going to a country that is probably not exactly a place that most of them want to go play, and certainly a country that a lot of fans aren't going to. I can just speak, like, for me personally, interacting with people through AO Atlanta. We have a couple of guys who are going, and a couple of them came last. Actually, we had 3 people come to the watch party last night who are going to go to Qatar in, I guess, a couple of days, really. But usually we have a lot more travel, especially if the U.S. is playing. We had like 10 or 15 go to Russia last summer just because they wanted to go. They'd already bought their tickets and everything. So I think there's a level of socio-cultural just tepidness when it comes to Qatar itself. And I think that's very understandable. But I think it has more to do with the fact that we've been playing club soccer all the way up to this. But there's that underlying guilt almost of, I don't want to be excited for this particular tournament.
Well, but I don't see. I think that you can make this mutually exclusive. I think that you can be excited for your national team, whomever you support, but you don't necessarily have to be excited about the tournament because of all of the surrounding elements associated with it. You can still have the love, fever, fervor, and emotion for the U.S. men's national team, Eltree, or whomever, but you still can be wary about the situation they're going into. I don't think that I think you can work both sides of the aisle there. You can have both lanes of traffic in that. That's just me. I mean, I think that, yeah, I know it's something that we're going to be covering. Yeah, I know it's something we're going to be talking about. I can sit here and say that I don't necessarily have to be all that excited about the tournament. I can be excited about the men's national team, but because of everything that has been a part of the buildup and everything that we have given folks as a part of requested/required viewing going into said World Cup, I think that we can still drive the car on both lanes of traffic.
Well, that's why I think, like, now that all the club soccer is over, we'll start getting more excited for this, and I hope that U.S. Soccer is planning to put out a lot of content over the week to get us excited. Again, we play Wales in a week, so the excitement is starting to build. Like, it is exciting. I woke up this morning thinking, oh my gosh, we're a week away. So I think that now that it has paused, the focus can be fully on the World Cup. But I just think that I think the club soccer schedule really was what put a damper on all the things. But I think the underlying stuff is why people are just a little bit more in a malaise about the tournament itself.
And I think there's something psychological to it as well, to your point, because we got all our emotion built up for USL Championship, USL Championship, MLS Cup. People ride the emotional wave every week with Bundesliga, with England, if you're a sicko like me, with Scotland. People build up their emotional investment there. And then that title's over. You have the emotional, you're done. Oh, God, I have to get back up for a World Cup.
Right. I mean, like, speaking personally as an Arsenal supporter, there's real tension with every match this season because, I'm watching on a Saturday to, morning and be like, oh my God, City didn't win. This is fantastic. What an opportunity for us. So there's the tension of, are we actually going to beat Wolves? And we go through that scoreless first half, and now we finally get the 2-0 win, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Wolves. Yeah, it doesn't matter, right? There's still that tension that comes along with a club soccer season. Obviously, an Arsenal Wolves match is not as stressful as what will probably be the US Wales match because of the similar quality of the two teams playing. But yeah, Jarrett, you're right. Like we have an emotional roller coaster every week. I mean, it's not just. I mean, most people don't watch just one league. You know, you might watch like Friday. I watched the Dortmund match, mostly because Gio Reyna and he came off at halftime. But the emotional roller coaster of watching Dortmund choose to not defend ever, but also try to score a bunch of goals is very fun, as opposed to being able to think, oh, maybe I'm watching a preview for USA England for the 5th time or something like that, or maybe I'm going back and watching the 2010 USA England game. It's just there's more content physically in front of us that is relevant than what would normally take place in the lead up to a World Cup.
Byrne came in this morning early knowing that you were coming in, and he's kind of the same way that you are. He says, I have a European friend who's traveled to Brazil, Russia, Germany to attend their respective World Cups. And the other day we were talking about this year's in Indy, and he didn't even know what date it was starting. It being in the winter has killed the buzz for it in Europe. Nobody's excited.
I think there's too much anecdotal evidence to show that there's just a lack of excitement. I don't think anyone's done a holistic survey on your excitement meter for this particular tournament, but I think there's a lot of anecdotal evidence of like, yeah, I don't know, the desire to travel isn't there. The people who I know are traveling to this tournament are very capable and able to travel without it really impacting their lives. And I think that's probably the reason why they're traveling, as opposed to a lot of people who, in my situation, we would have to schedule plan time off. We'd have to schedule flights and all, like it's not as easy, and then consider the financial factors. So, these things are meant to be fun and they're meant to be for the fans. And I think it's a sad state that the country that's hosting it is very, I'm not going to say inhospitable toward fans because we haven't seen it yet, but there's the illusion that it will be very hard for fans to fully enjoy the tournament while in the country.
Ask Budweiser about that.
Hey, if you want to enjoy Budweiser during this tournament, come down to Fido Monday, September 21st, 2 p.m. You can watch the USA Wales. You can drink some great Budweiser beer. We also have our specially crafted Eventide American Out Lager for you to drink. We will have beer here in the Atlanta for all of our watch parties. I cannot say the same if you're going to Qatar.
What about isn't there something on Black Friday that should be promoted as well, sir?
We do. We have a fantastically large Black Friday party. Thanks to the folks at Wild Heaven for accepting us to come over a little bit later than scheduled or planned. We had to switch and pivot, but Wild Heaven West End.
Pivot.
That's 1010 White Street. You saw it come out in the notifications from Atlanta United. We'll be there from noon until 5, probably a little later if you want to hang around because Wild Heaven will be open. The whole complex for Lee and White will be open as well. So, come and party. We'll have a lot of fun sponsor activities. We'll have a lot of fun events going on during the day. Some dude named John will also be doing a live show. And, we're hoping to get We're hoping to get some more of the Atlanta United players who can come out. A lot of them, shockingly, are traveling home for Thanksgiving, but we have a few of the locals that are scheduled to be able to come out and hopefully be able to see them. The one we've been trying to get to be a little bit transparent, trying to get Caleb Wiley, but not quite sure how good that looks to bring an 18-year-old to a brewery.
Yes, yes.
Because we all forget that Caleb Wiley is 18.
Yes.
But don't worry, we'll see him at a World Cup in the next 8 years. This is my prediction. Caleb Wiley will be playing for
Given the state of the left back position, yeah, probably.
Jarrett, can you play left back? Because
no.
Well, but the thing is, you've got both.
No, I can. I can play it poorly. I can do anything. I'll just do it poorly.
Absolutely. I mean, look, I'm north of 39. I could play left back. I'd play it like ish, but I could play left back. I mean, that's
heck, that's what got Shaq Moore in this roster, I think. So nothing against him. By the way, go look. We've seen 2 of the billboards of Ted Lasso letters spotted in the Atlanta area. Mm-hmm. Go look for them.
Very, very cool stuff that they're doing.
You can bring minors to a brewery that it is a fully, you will have non-alcoholic beer. That's not what I'm saying, David. You're allowed to do that, but
Plus food, yeah.
And they'll have food and all that kind of stuff. We're just saying that the optics of, that maybe not the best.
But yeah, I mean, it'll be fun, and my day is going to start at said event on Black Friday, and then after that, I sprint into the studio for quarterfinals. Black Friday, yeah, quarterfinals of the Georgia high school football season. So the round of 16, I think, round of 16,
I think so.
Round of whatever the quarterfinals are, round of 8.
I think that's 8. Yeah, no, that's 8. Yeah, it
so,
should be the 8.
Yeah, so the round of 8 after the SDH extravaganza will be going on. Then I get to sprint and then go and put makeup on my face and then do another full evening of broadcasting on Black Friday there. But no, that'll be fun. And pretty much any time that Bart is on between now and Black Friday, those keywords will continue to be uttered about what's going on Black Friday. So be there, Book 'em Dano. Aloha. Once again, more stuff. When
people in the chat know Hawaii 5-0? That's my question. Respond in the chat if you get the Hawaii 5-0 reference.
Yeah, see, that's your Google search for today, kids. OG's back in. When even the guy who made it happen admits it was a bad move, case closed. Let's move on from that. Everybody knows.
I do not care what Sepp Blatter has to say. I don't care what Sepp Blatter has to say about the color of the sky in the morning.
Nope. And it will only magnify the negative stuff.
Yeah, y'all got to understand anytime Sepp Blatter opens his mouth, it's only for his own personal gain. So,
or
because we were talking about it before you came on, Bart. Like at this point, Sepp Blatter's made enough money for 8 lifetimes. Anything he says now is to try and rehab his image to anyone who will listen.
Yeah, it is the rehabilitation tour.
That's awesome, Sepp. You know who still accepted those bribes? You did. I am a little upset now that he's kind of detailing it that we got out militarized by France in this whole process. Like, France was the one who donated more military equipment to Qatar. Come on, what were we doing?
Yeah, not well.
That's our job. Someone call Lockheed or Northrop.
Yeah, I mean that's a local call. Just at the 770. Just that's a local call here. Everybody was
right up the road on 85.
Exactly. Part of the other reason that I wanted to have you here this morning specifically was the match that happened last night. It was the back end of the doubleheader with the women's national team and Germany, and this one ended. So it's now 72 out of 73 wins at home for the U.S. women's national team. What were some of your takeaways? Let's start at 30,000 feet. What did you think about last night?
So going in, I definitely thought that if the team had lost, it was going to have to be a fire Vlatko situation. And I hate to really put that on there, but if you're the U.S. women's national team, you're a very desirable job on the international stage, and it wouldn't be hard to find someone. Now, like I said previously, you would have to find someone by December so they're ready to go in January with a plan in place. But it would have been at that time frame where it would have been possible to do it and still feel comfortable about them having time to prepare the team for the World Cup with friendlies in January, the She Believes Cup, friendlies in April, then friendlies probably leading up to the tournament in June or July. So it was pivotal for Vlatko to get that result. I think it was pivotal for the team to get that result because I think overall this team has kind of been beaten down from external factors since September, and the fact that the play on the field was not up to the standard of the U.S. women's national team, and they were getting so much criticism for that. Because at the end of the day, as much as you can blame tactical inefficiency from Vlatko, the players also kind of didn't really look like they were operating at what the level and the pace and the ferocity that we're used to seeing U.S. women's national team players operate. And so I think it was important for them to have their own kind of reality check internally of, is this the way that we're supposed to be playing for this team when we show up? And I think you saw that in the second half. It was a much more focused, tenacious, just a better performance overall, but players individually seemed to care more. Now, there were some tactical things too, but I think just overall this team during this window, because I still thought that the game on Thursday was a pretty decent performance. I know you lost, but I still thought that the goals were individual kind of mistakes or mishaps, but overall, I thought the team looked pretty good. And I think that this match, specifically the second half, you kind of solved some of the tactical issues that you've been having time and time again. Some, not all, but some.
The response on social media after the loss last time out by ex-players, they weren't holding back.
Well, one of them never holds back, but we don't need to talk about her.
That's true. So then, would you do you wish to address the comments of the one that has 3 initials attached to her name, or
we'll talk about Heather O'Reilly.
Okay,
because I think she approaches it from an actually like place of good criticism and trying to make the team better, as opposed to another person who approaches it as I have to be right all the time. I think
it's pulling out the hairdryer. So here's what Heather O'Reilly said for those who missed it. Simply not good enough in so many regards. Let's start with mentality. The last 30 minutes, too many allowed crosses in the box, not dealt with well at all. On the flip side, no urgency in the last 5. You're about to lose at home. Get the blanking ball down the field and fight. Another worries midfield shape. Germany played through too many times to count. In the flip side, wonderful goal by Morgan and Rapinoe. Good energy from Sanchez off the bench. Thrilled the team has a chance for redemption in a few days to make things right. So that's what HOR had to say about it. When that came across your Twitters, what'd you think?
I think it's very much. I think it's very much true. There's a lot that has been made of Vlatko Andonovski's coaching, and I think it's very fair to criticize the coach. I think he has put this team oftentimes in positions to not execute at their best, and I think his tactical instructions seem to limit their ability to do what they do best. By Jarrett. But I think at the end of the day, too, the players on the field have to look at themselves and say, am I playing up to the level of a U.S. women's national team player? John, you and I have talked about the injuries that this team has right now. A lot of people are like, oh, well, this wasn't a first choice Germany squad. And that's very fair. Mm-hmm. The U.S. hasn't played with a first choice squad since really this entire year. When it comes to injuries, you've had, again, you had Tierna Davidson out. Abby Dahlkomfer hasn't been a part of the team for like much of the time. Katarina Macario and Kristen Press getting hurt back in April, May really put a damper on the tactical flexibility you could have up top. There are a lot of players missing that. I mean, Kelly O'Hara, our Georgia girl, and Emily Sonnet, another Georgia girl, both out with injury, and that's just great depth to have. Crystal Dunn is still getting back to playing. I don't want to say playing shape, but playing mindset. Probably she obviously has been out dealing with actual real world issues, not silly little soccer games. Yes. But all these things have kind of compiled to put a lot of pressure on a lot of younger players. I mean, Sophia Smith is new to this team in this cycle. Mal Pugh, yes, was part of that 2019 squad, but is not the same. She didn't have the same role, right? Even Lavelle and Horan were secondary players. They were good, vital players, but they were not prominent leaders on the team in 2019. So the fact that you have that plus an entire backline that hasn't, I mean, Sauerbrunn last night obviously did, but most of this year, especially since May, the backline has been brand new. They're not, most of them didn't even go to the Olympics. So those things do matter. And to Heather O'Reilly's point, mentality has always been kind of the mainstay of the U.S. women's national team that has shifted from generation to generation. It has persisted the time of the team since 1990. And I do think it's fair to criticize the individual players for not quite having that. Now, I would again say that the mentality aspect has to be considered when you look at the fact that these women are now fully professional players. And so for them, playing for the U.S. women's national team, while an incredible honor, an incredible privilege, and an incredible duty, doesn't pay the bills like, scoring goals for Portland or saving goals for North Carolina or San Diego. So I do think that the mentality issue needs to change, because I think that, like I said, the team oftentimes didn't look like they were fully up for the fight, if you will, whereas a lot of these teams that we've played recently, Spain, England, Germany, were. But that doesn't mean that that team can't find that, right? And I think we found that in that second half. There was just a much more intense nature to the team, and it showed off. I mean, it proved to be effective. You got 2 goals on. We can talk about the goals and a little bit of tactical things, but the 2 goals basically were just the team wanting it a little bit more.
Nothing wrong with the want to gene, is there? Absolutely not.
No. But it came with also a tactical difference where you saw, I think I mentioned the last match, there was so much space between the back line and the midfield and the midfield and the forward line. That was not the case in that second half on Sunday. It was so much work. I mean, you could see multiple times, you could see all 11 players in their formation in this camera shot, which is pretty impressive and really good tactical structure. So that's a good change. I think also, as I've said many times, when this team presses, because Byrne, to your point, the European countries have caught up, but they still can't match the athleticism and the fight of the U.S. women's national team. So if you can get I mean, you saw in the first game, you know, that was because of Alex Morgan and Ashley Sanchez pressing a German central defender, causing a turnover that led to a goal. You saw in this game, Malpu's second goal was pretty much a hopeful ball by Sullivan. I mean, it was a direct ball that's fine, but, you know, Malpu just happened to get onto it and said, I'm scoring. Smith, her first goal was very much okay, well, I'm going to make this happen because I have to make it happen. And we don't need that all the time because, like, play within a team, but you do need that intensity of, oh, no, we're going to score, or no, I want this ball back. And those are the mentality changes you have to pair with a tactical change that I think we saw in the second half. And again, I'm really hoping that we take those tactics, copy and paste it to maybe not New Zealand, because I don't think New Zealand's going to want to play with the ball much at all. But like when we play these higher level teams, we still have the athleticism advantage. We still have the work rate advantage over those teams that can neutralize their great skill.
Mr. Fantastic in the extremes, but he's not alone in this. Vlatko's been terrible. It's like everything he touches goes wrong.
All right, well, let me make my fact right.
Okay.
This question.
All right. We like facts.
Sorry. This is the audio medium with a visual.
No, well, hey, you're finding facts. Facts are important. We want facts. We don't deal with while we deal with opinion, we like to have facts to back them up.
Vlatko Andonovski won the NWSL Championship in 2014 and 15. Yes. So everything he touches turns bad?
Not everything.
Right. I think it's very fair to criticize Vlatko's tactical approach with the U.S. women's national team. I think it's fair to criticize his insistence. I mean, we saw the Lavelle, Sullivan, and Horan combo in the midfield that has proven to not be super effective. It worked in the second half, and there are reasons for that. But at the end of the day, it's still concerning that he relies so heavily on Sullivan, Horan, Lavelle when they haven't produced consistently enough and oftentimes lead to defensive liabilities. So I think that you can blame Vlatko for a lot of things. You can blame Vlatko for the fact that for the most part of 2022, especially, a lot of the tactical setup was get the ball wide, cross it in. You know, so I think he's a very good coach. I don't know if he necessarily is the best coach that we could have got, but you know, I think they wanted someone from within the U.S. soccer system. Vlatko is there. Again, you know, your options, Paul Riley, obviously we didn't want him anymore.
Correct.
At that point in time, maybe Laura Harvey, who still has the opportunity to be there, but Laura Harvey is similar to Vlatko in the sense that, yes, she's been pretty successful in WSL, but, you know, is she as successful as she should have been? Who knows, you know, but yeah, Vlatko has a history of winning in the women's game, but I think it's also fair to say that he hasn't been that successful recently. But when you were hiring this coach and you wanted to look not internally, but within the U.S. soccer system, I think Vlatko was a no-duh answer when he was hired.
And, once again, to the previous discussion that we've had about successors, Burns with you about Casey Stoney or Serena Wiegman. Either one wins a World Cup with the women's national team. Byrne has been a fan since Casey Stoney was at Manchester United.
Yeah, I think Stoney has shown, I mean, she got the best out of Alex Morgan with Golden Boot season in NWSL. I do think that Casey Stoney, in my opinion, would be my first call because I think she is relevant enough I think you want someone who has played recently enough because the game has changed over the past 10 years, the women's game.
Yes.
So she understands that very well. And obviously she's had great managerial, I don't want to say great success, but she's been a good manager at both Manchester United and now with San Diego. I think that would be who I would call first. Obviously, Serena Wiegman is not leaving England, but no. I would call Casey Stoney first. And then I think a lot of people want Laura Harvey. I'm not sold on Harvey as being the answer, but I think that she could improve possibly what you get out of this team. She does have a history of doing well with really good players, which the U.S. women's national team has really good players.
To that point, once again, here's Byrne. European countries also don't have the depth of the U.S. They have maybe 10 to 15 international level players each. The U.S. has twice at that level.
Right, Byrne, and that's why I'm a little confused by Vlatko's insistence on starting Lavelle, Horan, Sullivan every single match, because you do have players who could easily slot in there and be very effective. I personally really like Ashley Sanchez. I think she works really hard all over the field and still combines work rate with great technical skill and flair. That would be one that I would definitely say would be someone I'd like to see in that midfield. We saw even Taylor Korniak last night come in, who has been pretty effective and provides a little tactical wrinkle for the team with her height and aerial ability. She's not just tall, she's also good in the air. I still would like to say I think Sullivan played well last night, but can you get Sam Coffey or Jalen Howell into the midfield at some point to just see? There's talent in NWSL. I think that's to kind of expand on what Byrne's saying. NWSL is a much deeper talent pool than any other league in the world.
Yeah.
Most leagues have one or two really good teams. I think the Women's Super League in England is probably the second deepest because they do have multiple teams that are very good. But you look at France, you maybe have three teams that are really good. You definitely have Lyon and PSG who are very good, and then you have one or two that are kind of good. In Spain, you have Barcelona. In Germany, you have Wolfsburg, and you have some. I mean, Bayern Munich and other teams are pretty decent. They're good as well, but Wolfsburg is the dominant team. So the fact that you have such great talent in NWSL, I think it would be smart of the U.S. women's national team coach to try to find players who can fit in this national team a little bit more expansively. And that would be a criticism that I definitely have of Vlatko, is he relies too much on the players that are currently there, but also there's players who are really good. So.
All right, your numbers from last night, your ratings last night, courtesy of our friends from Soccer America. Alyssa Nair got a 5 after stumbled after trying to anticipate Kleinhern's shot, which was blocked by Sofia Huerta. Couldn't reach the low shot from Eula Brand, who was good enough for the 18th minute goal. Defenders, Naomi Zherma got an 8 last night from Soccer America.
Yeah, she's been the best thing of 2022. Like 100%, she's been the best thing that the U.S. has seen in 2022. She's been fantastic. Can't wait to watch her go forward and lead this team.
Sauerbrunn got a 6. Huerta and Fox got 5s. Midfield, Rose Lavelle got a 4. Yeah. Andy Sullivan a 6. Lindsey Horan got a 7. And your forward, Sophia Smith, got a 7. Alex Morgan a 4 in her 200th cap. Mallory Pugh got an 8 out of last night.
Yeah.
And the other thing that Soccer America mentions is referee Marianela Araya Cruz will find it impossible to explain why she didn't red card German goalkeeper Almuth Schultz for a violent foul on Korniak 10 yards outside.
We could talk about that. Let's talk about that. Okay, so Law 12 of the laws of the game Let me pull this up because I need to actually cite it.
Yes.
Law
please
12,
state.
laws of the
Yes.
game. We talk about it. Talks about fouls and misconduct. So in the misconduct section, there is a whole explainer of advantage, right? We talk about what advantage is in Law 12. About we all understand it's when yes, there's a foul, but the attacking team clearly has an advantage to try to go score a goal. So in that sense, do I think that she should have called the foul on the goalkeeper? Yes, I think it was a very clear foul. I disagree that it was Dogso. I do not think it was Dogso because there was a defender literally right next to Korniak, or within a very, very playable distance. Now you could argue that, well, if the goalkeeper hadn't done that, what would have happened? Well, fair.
Well,
But
ifs and buts were candy and nuts. We'd all have a
right,
Merry
I
Christmas.
do not think it was Dogso. I
Okay.
don't. I don't. But even if it were Dogso, the referee allowed advantage to play. At least that's the way you have to assume it. Either she saw there was no foul or she saw the ball fall to, I forget who it was. I think it was Pugh, and played advantage. At that point in time, when you play advantage for denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity, you cannot come back and give the player a red card. So a couple years, about 5 years ago, I think, is when we had the double jeopardy theory start coming up in soccer, when you could not give a red card to a player for a legitimate play on the ball foul inside the penalty area. Do you remember this, John?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So we don't do that anymore. You can still get a red card for sure for denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity in the penalty area, right?
Yeah.
You can do that. It's fine. Like you can, if you do not make a legitimate play on the ball, so example, handballs or just pulling someone back or anything like that, those are still red card Dogso or red card fouls in the penalty area. Like that's fine. But we have established that Dogso plus a penalty kick, you only get a yellow card. We are applying that now outside of the penalty area. If there is a Dogso situation and you play advantage, we are allowing that advantage. It's almost similar to like saying, okay, well, you're getting that penalty kick-ish. Okay, let's just use the terms that we kind of know right now.
Yes.
So you cannot go back and give that player a red card because you allowed that team to have an advantage. You did not stop play. You allowed them to score. So the theory is if you give them that advantage and then they go on to score, because usually, again, Dogso is you have no other defenders back. That's kind of the general, one of the 5 Ds we look for in Dogso. So the theory is if you play advantage, which means you're giving that team a chance to score a goal. Whether they score a goal or not is irrelevant. You gave them the chance to score a goal. You cannot then go back and say, okay, well, we gave them a chance to score a goal and you get a red card. You don't work like that anymore. You get a yellow card for unsporting behavior. Now, so we have Dogso. That's a red card that we talk about. Then we have the next level of Dogso, which is a caution, which we now call stopping a promising attack. We used to call that professional foul or something like that, cynical foul, whatever. Yeah. We have given it a name, stopping a promising attack. If the offense during that, after that advantage, or that gave yield to that advantage, was stopping a promising attack, the player is not cautioned. So again, we're applying that theory of double jeopardy to advantage given outside of the penalty area. So in this sense, I still think that the referee, A, did not think that this was denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. B, allowed advantage to be played.
Okay.
And then that means if A and B are true, then C has to mean you don't come back and give the player a caution. Now, I will very much concede that this also was a friendly in the 92nd minute. So what is a red card really going to do there?
True, but at the same time, I would think you would want to you would want to apply the rules of the game universally, even if it is a 90-second.
You definitely want to, John. I agree with that. However, this is a friendly, and most referees, their goal in a friendly is to not have to give a red card between an event. Like from my standpoint, when I'm refereeing games like this, I don't want to have to give a red card because for one at the international level, the next game is so far away that who cares? Like you're gonna sit out a red card in April. Like Okay. February, whenever the next international break is for the Germans. That doesn't really do anything. But also, I like to reserve my red cards for actual violent conduct, right? Like you did something that is bad to the sport, right? Not this match. Like, okay, dog so is bad, but like we'll all get over it if Germany and US play for even strength squad for the next minute and a half. We'll be okay. I think you can also give the referee a little bit of credit in that regard. But that said, I think she mismanaged the whole situation because, again, even if you don't think it's dog so, I think it was a pretty clear foul. And I don't think the advantage was that clear at all. Again, I still don't think it was dog so. There were plenty of players back. So if the keeper makes a legitimate play on that ball, that's great. But there's still more German defenders around her. I don't necessarily think it was full-on dog so. I think it was a questionable dog so at best. So that's the first thing. The second thing is she played advantage. So we're not coming back to give a red card. She could have come back to give a yellow card, but clearly by not doing so, she indicates she did not think it was dog so. She thought it was just stopping a promising attack. I think that was a little bit of an incorrect interpretation of the situation, but I think it would have been smarter to just call the foul right then and there. You give the keeper a yellow card for stopping a promising attack. Everyone understands then, like, okay, like maybe it could have been a red card, but like we're fine. I think what people are most confused by is why is there no yellow card at all, even for that situation? And it just comes back to the fact that clearly the referee did not think that was a dog so situation.
All right. So now that I've kept you once again for the 35th segment in a row into AET, you're back on Thursday plus golden ticket status whenever you want to crash the party.
Yeah. Thursday we'll talk about it. We'll talk about the World Cup coming up. I know it's happening. We are a week out from it. Actually, we're 6 days from it. Last week was a week out from it. So it is happening soon. Mm-hmm. I am starting to get excited. I will be the first to say, like, I fall into that, like, it's been like a little bit, oh yeah, the World Cup, but now it's like, oh my gosh, the World Cup. That's the next soccer game we have to look forward to. So let's do it, John.
All right. So Thursday, 9:30 in the Power Hour, Bart Keeler joins us. Social media plugs. Do you wish to have any of those, sir?
Sure. Yeah. Follow the show at Soccer for Us Pod, or follow me at Bartimus Prime 19. And again, AOLN will be hosting watch parties throughout the World Cup. We'll be at Fido Midtown on Monday. We'll be at Wild Heaven Brewery on Black Friday, and then back at Fido Midtown on Tuesday to close out the group stage. And any insinuating knockout games will be at Fido Midtown as well. So hope to see y'all there, and just hope y'all enjoy the fact that we have a World Cup coming up.
Bartimus Prime 19, Bart Keeler. He's going to be part of the search committee trying to find a new athletic director for the University for West Virginia. So that's Bart, and so he'll be back on Thursday and any other day that he wants to come back, because as I have instituted golden ticket status for a lot of folks, basically what I do is we have there's like when you trigger the software that we use for having everybody in the same room, I'll send out an email with the link. And so basically anybody who wants to crash can crash. It's like, okay, here's the link, whenever, just come on in. So it turns basically into a party line. So that's kind of how we're going to operate during the World Cup. I will send out the bat signal, and anybody who wants to crash with Jarrett and myself can most certainly do that on any kind of a day-to-day basis. Obviously, we'll have games to talk about and all the news that's fit to print, and we'll talk about that during the tournament. But yeah, I mean, short of Thanksgiving and Black Friday, because of the show that's going to be at the brewery, there won't be a morning live Twitch. Obviously, Thanksgiving, we want you to spend time with your families. I'm probably going to do a quick recap show of the action of the day that'll be posted later on the day. So that'll happen for both that Thursday and that Friday. So you'll still have content on Thanksgiving and Black Friday, and I think we'll do all those kinds of things. But basically, bat signal, anybody that wants to crash can, and we'll talk about everything World Cup and everything else that is going on. So since it is past the top of the hour, since we passed the hour mark, you know what time it is. It's where I lower the background music so you can hear me, and we read a promo. From our friends at Eliminize Service, QR code over my left shoulder for those of you watching on Twitch. Roto-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. And it's Eliminize Service. Deodorized in enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. They've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet, cigarettes, food. Realtors and property managers use Eliminize Service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. The turnkey process makes it easy to work with realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment. We like that these days. Very green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or our favorite masking agents that we have either under the sink or above us in the cupboard, because when we reach above us in the cupboard or below us into the sink or under the sink, spray the masking agent in the air. That's why they call it a masking agent, because you're just masking the odor. You're not attacking the issue all the way down to the molecule like our friends at Eliminize do with their proven scientific formula. Pricing very, very easy, either by the cubic foot or parts per million to come up with a price that's affordable for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go is the website. It's eliminize.com. But do us a favor here at SDH, and this is where I pick up my pen. After the .com, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world you are addressing them from, so they can help you attack your problems as best as they can. So your full homework assignment, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, eliminize.com /Atlanta. Eliminize Service for motor-free, clean, fresh air. Eliminize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH on a Monday. And this is where I try to do that slow fade, and make sure that everything is the way that it is. So once again, thanks to everybody who has been a part of SDH. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Monday, on a pre-Qatar discussion Monday. And it's a reaction Monday. Anything on your mind you guys want to talk about? I know that we've been talking a lot about the women's national team, and we've been talking a lot about USL Championship. By the way, since I forgot to close that segment out with Jarrett before the real world intervened, the segment on the USL Championship was our opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for Kickoff Coffee and everything Kickoff Coffee. And go to Kickoff Coffee CO on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. Use that QR code there that is currently blocking my face on Twitch, and use the code Soccer Down Here 15. You get 15% off of your purchase. They in turn take 10% and roll over into the youth game and youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Yeah, I wanted to get into, in the second hour, the particular interview by the guy who probably will not be employed by Manchester United for a whole lot longer. But usually when we get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo, which will come down the line, because that doesn't stop either, as folks, because not everybody is playing for their country in a World Cup. First off, when you choose to have an interview with the guy that you chose to have the interview with, it's going to be loud and bombastic, and Lord knows what's going to be said. But sure enough, when you had the interview with the Arsenal fan, who's a bombastic anchor who likes to hear himself talk over in England, then Cristiano Ronaldo is going to say what he said. And if he did not have his future locked in place before this interview, then he certainly did after. Manchester United came out with a statement after the Cristiano Ronaldo interview. Gordon Brunt at The Athletic, shocking no one. I know this will be incredibly shocking to you too. Red Devils officials were irate after the 37-year-old went public Sunday to air his grievances about the club and manager Erik ten Hag, according to ESPN's Rob Dawson. Addressed the controversial interview Monday, saying that they're still considering their response. It was a short statement. Manchester United notes the media coverage regarding an interview by Cristiano Ronaldo. The club will consider its response after the full facts have been established. Our focus remains on preparing for the second half of the season, continuing the momentum, belief, and togetherness being built among the players, manager, staff, and fans. So Ronaldo's claim he was being forced out of Old Trafford last summer that club officials heavily disputed. They contest it was Ronaldo and his camp who were actively seeking a transfer away from United, sources told Dawson. Manchester United and Erik ten Hag repeatedly said throughout the summer that Ronaldo would be part of the plans for 22-23. Ronaldo's comments about the club's training facility also contested after he claimed that hardly anything had been updated in the years since his first stint at the club ended in 2009. Dawson reports that the pool, canteen, and recovery areas have all been renovated. The club's also spent over £200,000 to construct an analysis and meeting room for Erik ten Hag. Last month, Ronaldo was dropped from the squad after refusing to come on as a sub against Spurs, forced to train alone, missed a Premier League game against Chelsea before being reinstated. It's understood some United officials have perceived Ronaldo's scathing comments as a way for him to potentially engineer a transfer in the January window. Well, duh. Better be a way to organize a transfer out of there. Let's see if we can come up with. He's okay. So allegedly, he doesn't respect Erik ten Hag. The sources have told the four-letter the club are keen to keep the emphasis on what they believe was a significant victory at Craven Cottage, secured thanks to Alejandro Garnacho's stoppage time goal. 37-year-old claims United and ten Hag wanted to force him out in the summer. Let's see if there's anything else. Some sources close to the club believe Ronaldo's interview was designed as a power play to force a move away. Yeah, it better be at this point because the interview was, I don't know if even, I don't know if off the rails is even appropriate here. Yes, I feel betrayed. And this is quoting Cristiano Ronaldo. Some people don't want me here not only this year, but last year too. And on Erik ten Hag, I don't have respect for him because he doesn't show respect for me. Ronaldo claimed there's been zero progress at the club since Sir Alex Ferguson retired in the summer of 2013. When asked if United's hierarchy were trying to force him out, yes, not only the coach, but the other 2 or 3 guys around the club. I felt betrayed. When quizzed if senior executives were trying to oust him, honestly, I don't know. I don't care. People should hear the truth. Yes, I feel betrayed. Some people don't want me here, not only this year, but last year too. I don't know what's going on. Since Sir Alex Ferguson left, I've seen not evolution in the club. The progress was zero. Ronaldo, I don't respect the manager. Ronaldo, when Erik ten Hag announced he wanted to leave, refused to come on as a sub, walked off the bench, left before the game had finished. For example, an interesting point is about how a club like Manchester United sacked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Once again, this is Ronaldo talking. They bring in a sporting director, Ralph Rangnick, which is something nobody understands. This guy is not even a coach. A big club like Manchester United bringing in a sporting director surprised not only me, but all the world. Nothing changes. Not only the jacuzzi, the pool, even the gym, even some points of technology, the kitchen, the chefs, who I appreciate, lovely people. They stop in time, which surprised me a lot. I thought I would see different things, technology, infrastructure. Unfortunately, we see many things I'm used to seeing when I'm 21, 22, 23. It surprised me a lot, end quote. Also said of ten Hag, I don't have respect for him because he doesn't show respect for me. If you don't have respect for me, I'm never going to have respect for you. That was a rather circular quote. Rejoined in August of 2021, quote, I think the fans should know the truth. I want the best for the club. This is why I come to Manchester United, but you have some things inside that don't help reach the top level of City, Liverpool, and even now Arsenal. A club with this dimension should be top of the tree, in my opinion, and they are not, unfortunately. As Picasso said, you have to destroy it to rebuild it. Although the exact quote was, every act of creation is first an act of destruction. And if they start with me, for me, it's not a problem. I love Manchester United. I love the fans. They're always on my side. But if they want to do it different, they have to change many, many things, end quote. Then the discussion on Wayne Rooney. Ronaldo critical of Wayne Rooney after the Englishman said that he's in danger of becoming an unwanted distraction at Old Trafford. Ronaldo said of Rooney, quote, I don't know why he criticizes me so badly, probably because he finished his career and I'm still playing at a high level. I'm not going to say that I'm looking better than him, which is true. Ronaldo also revealed how his former boss, Alex Ferguson, persuaded him to return to the club last summer. Quote, I followed my heart. He, meaning Sir Alex, said to me, it's impossible for you to come to Manchester City. And I said, okay, boss. Asked what Ferguson thinks of United's current situation, Ronaldo added, he knows better than anybody that the club is not on the path they deserve to be. He knows everyone knows. The people who don't see that, it's because they don't want to see. They are blind. Katie, I'll get into your question in just a sec. Ten Hag and the players. Extremely disappointed with the manner and the timing of the interview. Hugely disappointed that he would disrespect the club. Ronaldo was told on Thursday he would not be a part of the starting 11 against Fulham, but he would have been in the squad. He told the club he was ill. So there you go. Dude, if you hadn't been desired to go away and try to find something in the January window, this pretty much sealed it. Now, the question is, what's Manchester United going to do? Are they just going to have him be a healthy scratch for the remainder of the time for like Boxing Day and that crush of games before the January window opens up? Does he go to Portugal on a free? Yeah, you got to get that toxicity out of there. And I mean, like yesterday. This is, but the fact that he chose, meaning Cristiano Ronaldo, chose this particular individual to be the interviewer. And I'm not even going to mention who it was because, yes, it's in the public purview as to who it was. But all that individual wants to do is stir up ish. That's all he wants to do. And the fact that he got the gotcha with Cristiano Ronaldo, and Cristiano Ronaldo got to say his piece, rarely being challenged by an Arsenal fan. What Manchester United is doing is they're letting Erik ten Hag build, which is what you need to do. To the Picasso quote, there's a lot that needs to be done. Yes, it's going to take time. It's going to take a couple of windows. Philosophically, you're bringing in guys like Garnacho they're young and talented, and they're not 37, and use their massage guns on 30-second and 60-second commercials. Cristiano Ronaldo's time should be now over. Should have been over after he walked off with Spurs. This was just, to me, that little extra oomph, that other exclamation point that's a part and parcel to this whole thing. So congratulations, dude. You probably have gotten your walkaway orders. You're going to get your paperwork somewhere in January. I just want to see who is going to be interested. But to the point, Katie Weaver. So which MLS team wants that ego? That's the question. Even if it was somebody, remember, it would have to be something in the, you have to figure out how to have it fit within the cap. It would have to be some kind of an AM deal. I don't know if anybody wants to. There you go, Sean. Send him to Vancouver. That would be intriguing, to say the very least. Could you imagine Vanni Sartini and Cristiano Ronaldo on the touchline if Sartini wants CR7 to do something and Sartini says CR7 do this, CR7 says no? How Sartini and CR7 would be going at it on the touchline? I don't even know if MLS teams want this headache at this point. Mother Nature and Father Time, as we always say, are the only two that are undefeated. And the game is slipping away from Cristiano Ronaldo in a Big Five way. The big leagues in Europe, not so much. So, 4-card, LAFC or LAG has the GAM available. It would be interesting to see if John Thorrington would make that phone call, because he's made it before with Gareth Bale. He's trying to juggle Bale and Vela and figure out where you go from here. Do you bring in the shiniest object of them all at the age of 37 and disturb the chemistry that you've somewhat created with Chicho Arango and Vela and Boanga and all those pieces? Yeah, we'll get back into that, Sean. No doubt about it. We'll talk about USL Championship here in a bit. But, yeah, I mean, LAG, what do you do to try to keep up with the Joneses across the street that won a title? That's a question. But do you deal with the headaches? Do you deal with the headache that is CR7 at the age of 37? Maybe he should be just CR37 now. But, yeah, this interview with that Arsenal fan that wants to just stir up ish certainly did that. It accomplished its goal. And I think that CR37 just needs to be a healthy scratch. True. And Burns, you're right. League where he'd fit in best is Serie A. All the Wash strikers play there. Sean, USL champ teams would take him. But the thing is, you're working within a budget, and it would be very few teams. I mean, you go to last night as an example. San Antonio, yes, it's the island of misfit toys, but he would, financially, I don't know who would want to bring that in or who could bring that in. Yes, Burn, no question. Giroud, Zlatan, and Lukaku. And we've seen what Olivier Giroud has been able to do. And Zlatan when he's healthy. So, yeah, does he go back to some place in Serie A and give Nick fodder to discuss on a regular basis? That would be interesting. But, yeah, so we'll see what happens with all of the ish that got stirred up yesterday with the interview with CR37. Sean, I think if Ronaldo Sabardi just goes to a fringe Champions League team to get them there, then retire. That's why I think he probably goes home, probably goes to Sporting or something like that. So, Sean, recapping the USL Championship game. Great for San Antonio. I mean, they worked their way through everything and got these random pieces to fit. All of these other USL Championship guys that were out of team, all the MLS or former MLS players that were out of team. Hey, you want to come here and you want to win a title? You get a 28-year-old who wants to retire and start a family, ends up being keeper of the year. So great work by San Antonio FC to get the title, winning 3-1 last night over Lou City, even after missing the early penalty from Mitchell Tainter. Then you get another handball, and this was the one that because we kept Bart long, I didn't get the chance to ask him about this. Was the handball call that led to the second penalty taken by San Antonio, and Patino scored that one, where Wes Sharpie, who has his back to the San Antonio player, I think it was a Adeniran, is jumping up into the air trying to defend, and it's over his head, and as the ball is headed back toward goal and over Wes Sharpie's back, Sharpie, as he's jumping up, his right arm, obviously for momentum's sake, is up into the air, and as the ball is headed from behind and Sharpie's jumping up, it touches his right hand, and they call the second penalty that Patino scores for San Antonio. Yeah, this is absolutely true, Sean. The game had everything. Missed PK, Tainter, lack of VAR, smoke, back and forth madness. One of the goals of the year, not matter. That goal that had the transition opportunity from San Antonio, where I want to say it was Abu to Patino. I think it was the third one with the absolute cross from the left-hand side sent by Abu, and it was sent right at the top of the box, chested down, turn, poke, goal. I mean, it was gorgeous in transition. If you look at that play from the absolute beginning, that's your requested/required viewing of the day. Go to the USL Championship Twitter feed and catch that goal because that was gorgeous. But yeah, it had everything. But great celebration for everything in the USL Championship. Another season where if you're a Lou City fan, you get to the last game of the year, come up just short. But you see what Lou City's continuing to build. We got to talk about Danny Cruz, Jarrett, and I in the first 30 minutes. And I think that if you're a team in Major League Soccer and you're looking for that next coach that has worked his way up the ladder and could be ready for that MLS assignment, it's probably Danny Cruz in Lou City. So great to see that massive crowd that was there in the tight quarters that are Toyota Stadium in San Antonio. It's always a great environment. And it was off the rails last night in San Antonio. So congratulations to San Antonio FC winning the championship in USL Championship. The championship in USL Championship yesterday. So good stuff for them. Congratulations to the state of Texas for winning yet another title. So here's your gossip, rumor, and innuendo for the day as we get you into soccer on TV or anything else that we need to promote before we go. Borussia Dortmund chief exec Hans-Joachim Watzke says the club will hold talks with Jude Bellingham, who's been linked with several of Europe's top sides about his future after the World Cup. That came from Bild this morning. Barcelona, who know it will be difficult to sign Ilkay Gundogan from Manchester City, are also looking at Leicester and Belgian midfielder Yuri Tielemans. Earmuffs, Nick. I should have said earmuffs first and then read the story. That's from Mundo Deportivo. Barcelona failed to make it into the last 16 of the Champions League, true. But the Nou Camp's club president, Joan Laporta, says he's not questioned Xavi's position as manager. Unai Emery wants to sign 2 players from Real Madrid, a Belgian winger, Eden Hazard, and Nacho. That's from El Nacional in Spanish. Villa could also make a €14 million bid for Barcelona and Ivory Coast midfielder Franck Kessie, with Fulham also interested. That's from Sport. Pep Guardiola will hold meetings with the club during the World Cup to discuss his future plans. That's from the 4-letter paper, so take the information at your own peril. AC Milan are aiming to agree to a deal with Chelsea to sign Hakim Ziyech in January. That's from Gazzetta dello Sport. AC Milan will not consider offers of less than €100 million for Portugal forward Rafael Leao in January as they struggle to make progress to agree to a contract extension with him. That's from Calcio Mercato. Chelsea's boss Graham Potter has total backing from the club's owners despite suffering 3 straight defeats in the Premier League. That's from Ornstein on Monday. And that was part of why Potter was given the gig in the first place, because of the understanding that they both wanted to, meaning ownership and Potter. They knew that there was going to be a build and a transition time attached. So the patience is there from the front office when it comes to Graham Potter and what he wants to do. Roma director Thiago Pinto cannot accept England manager Gareth Southgate's reasoning in leaving Tammy Abraham out of his squad for the World Cup. Germany defender Antonio Rudiger, who left Chelsea to join Real Madrid in the summer, says Barca tried to sign him, but moving to the Nou Camp side was not a possibility. That's from AS. Italy midfielder Marco Verratti, close to signing a contract extension until 2026 with PSG. And Bosnian striker Edin Dzeko's contract with Inter Milan runs out next summer. And the 36-year-old says he wants to stay with the Serie A side. Once again, that comes from our friends at Calcio Mercato. So we'll keep an eye on all of that stuff. View from Portugal. We mentioned CR37. Portuguese journalist Pedro Sepulveda was on Sky, and he said, when there's any news about Cristiano Ronaldo, social media tries to link him to Sporting Lisbon. I tried to find out if there's any chance of Sporting trying to sign Cristiano Ronaldo. From my sources, the answer is the same. There's no chance Cristiano Ronaldo could join Sporting in this winter transfer window. Even for Ruben Amorim, the coach, Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't fit into his project for the future of Sporting. So there's no solid base here right now for this link with Cristiano Ronaldo and Sporting Lisbon for the next transfer window. And Kalen Carr, who was asked about it, doesn't think Cristiano Ronaldo could be tempted by a move to the United States. So the question has been posed in the British media this morning: has he ruined his legacy at Manchester United? And once again, has he respected Manchester United with the timing of the interview? Kaveh Solkahal from our friends at Sky, quote, I was told some people think Ronaldo's acting like a coward. He's done the interview on the eve of the World Cup when there are no Premier League games, so he can disappear, not face the music in the UK or play in front of supporters. Or you could say the timing means he's showing United disrespect as he's waited until the eve of the World Cup so he didn't disrupt the team or his teammates whilst they were in a run of games. Solkahal's understanding is that on Thursday he was told he wouldn't be starting against Villa. At that point, he went to see the medical team to say he was ill. United haven't seen him since. First United heard of the interview came on Sunday night after the game with Fulham. So, Jamie Carragher, United don't need the hassle of Ronaldo. And Carragher says Ronaldo's trying to get sacked. He's doing a damn good job of it. I'll tell you that. So, numbers. Sky did some stats. When starting, Cristiano Ronaldo, the win percentage for Manchester United is 1-4. Averaging a point per match, averaging half a goal scored in the match, and averaging 1.8 goals conceded. When he's not starting, win percentage is 7 out of 10. Points per match, 2.2. Average goals scored, 1.8. Average goals conceded, 1.3. So that should tell you plenty. That should tell you plenty. Let's see if there's anything else when it comes to gossip, rumor, innuendo, and things left unsaid before we get into anything on the newspapers before we go. Avoiding the 3 and the 4 letter papers overseas as we do. The Times says Garrett Southgate hopes to allow his players some contact with their families during the World Cup despite COVID fears. Bruno Fernandes has spoken of his concerns about the World Cup in Qatar as well. Daily Mirror, we mentioned Hans-Joachim Watzke, avoiding the 4-letter paper. Daily Telegraph, traveling fans of England or Wales who misbehave at the World Cup finals in Qatar will not be able to escape the all-seeing eye of 20,000 cameras in the 8 stadia alone, making this tournament the most heavily surveilled of its kind. One point that we'll be getting into with Jarrett later on. From the Scottish newspapers, Rangers boss Gio van Bronckhorst clinging to his job after club chiefs held crisis talks. Kenny Miller has urged Rangers to make a quick decision over Gio. Celtic star David Turnbull has warned the rest of Scottish football they're only going to get better. News out of Aberdeen. Striker Bojan Miovski is a January target for French side Reims after becoming joint top scorer in the Premiership. Rangers appear to have missed out on a former transfer target with Brazilian playmaker Evander on the brink of joining Portland Timbers in Major League Soccer. So that's news from all around the world, all the news that's fit to print. We got your gossip, rumor, and innuendo there. When it comes to soccer on TV today, then strangely enough, there ain't none because everything got played yesterday. There is no soccer on television today. So if you're really looking for anything to watch, it's a lot of international friendlies with women. Some of them have started. You've got the U19 tournament. You still have stuff going on in lower divisions in Eastern Europe and North Africa. More Middle Eastern stuff going on in the secondary leagues in Turkey. You got stuff going on at noon if you're really hard up for looking for things. When it comes to stuff to watch, once again, that's at noon and working its way forward. Also on the board, you're getting into more lower divisions, North Africa, international friendlies for women. 1 o'clock, Scotland hosting Venezuela. They're a large favorite at a minus 385. Netherlands and Belgium U23s are going at it. Premier League Cup is at 2 o'clock. FA Cup is at 2:30. And you've got lower divisions, national leagues, Liga Portugal, more friendlies tonight. And finishing up 5 o'clock, you have Colombia, Zambia. Colombia's a big favorite, obviously, to minus 370. Ecuador is a favorite on the road at a plus 108, going up against Peru. And then you have Liga MX Femenil at 9 o'clock to wrap up your night. Tigres and Club America. Tigres is a minus 116. Club America and the draw are a plus 261. And plus 264, respectively. So that is your day. Obviously, very, very light when it comes to primary divisions and things like that. But as we continue to go, we'll get you ready for World Cup. We'll get you previewed. Anything on your mind as we continue to go. And we will continue to discuss, as we always do here every single day at Soccer Down Here. So once again, before we go, a quick note. Soccer in the Streets, the gala raised over $200,000 last over the weekend. Fantastic stuff for them, and great to see Kevin Egan was there, and all the stuff that was going on with the Soccer in the Streets gala. Over $200,000 raised, and good stuff. Once again, fantastic work that they do, and great work by all of you that were a part and parcel to that, and get to hang out with our friends with Soccer in the Streets 12 months out of the year, and we will continue to talk about everything going on tomorrow. So once again, thanks for hanging out with me, Bart Keeler, Jared Smith, and for all of us here at SDH, it's getting ready for a World Cup. And to the point that Jill made earlier, the Soccer for Good OG, I know it's kind of hard to get geared up for something that's like, oh, it's here. But I think that as we get closer to it toward the end of the week then I think we'll get jazzed up more and more for it now that league play has stopped. As we continue to go, the week in programming, we will take a look back at Salt Lake City, St. Louis City's expansion draft. You'll get that information coming up. You'll get a recap of the USL Championship season. Prim and Proper obviously makes a return tomorrow as well. And we should be having some 1v1s involving news that is going to be happening this week. Dylan Butler still slated to join us on Wednesday. Nico Moreno from the Soccer Bar and Pulso Sports, he will continue to join us as well. And we will continue to roll through. Bart will join us again at 9:30 on the Power Hour on Thursday. And we will have the week getting gassed up for the World Cup. And Soccer for Good OG, you are absolutely correct in your assessment. Hashtag beloved community when it comes to how we are when it comes to the sport of soccer. So we'll be back at it again tomorrow to talk about more stuff. That's the official term. And as we continue to roll through, once again, anything on your mind as we go, it's going to be kind of an open forum heading toward World Cup and then World Cup and everything, talking about the World Cup. We'll get into that for that month of a sprint and to continue to roll from there. But since this is the end of the show, it's Mucha Plata, y'all. Play it safe, everybody. We will see you next time. And what that means is I get to do this. We'll be back at it tomorrow. We'll see you then.